And hey, it's Evan Kirstel here with another chat with one of my favorite followers and connections on social media. Today, I'm really excited to have Brian Benstock. I'm not sure how to describe Brian. I'd call him a business leader, a thought leader, an entrepreneur, an athlete. Does that really cover it, Brian, or have I missed something?
It's a good start, and don't let me stop you there. No, yeah, I think that covers it.
So we met, quote unquote, on Clubhouse, where I was just gripped by a 30-minute discussion. You were having on sales and business. How's Clubhouse going for you? Is it a platform you really like?
I
What
love
about
it.
it do you like?
I've gained a reputation in the automobile business for being frictionless, trying to remove friction from transactions and as it relates to automotive, frictionless doesn't mean no friction. It just means taking some of the friction out of each of the transactions. And that's one of the things I love about Clubhouse. There's no friction. You basically tap on to your iPhone and now your Android, and you're in a room, and you pick the room that you want to go in, and you can be part of a conversation. And I've been blessed to be with the Breakfast of Champions, a really great group of individuals, and to be able to be providing inspiration, motivation to large groups of people. And then we've all sort of gone into our own little segments. And I have a segment each week, Saturday morning sales meeting, and we're getting an incredible following. We're having up to 10,000 people show up for a Saturday morning sales meeting. And so I guess it's resonating. And we have other segments during the week. And, it's really a great platform. And the people disrupt with their phone, right? They decide which shows are going to win, which shows are going to have followers or not, based on the quality of the content. So I think it's great.
I would agree. And I was really fascinated by your sales conversation. I have a lifelong career in sales. So I guess you'd call me a lifer. But where did you develop your sales acumen and your philosophy? And how did you come to your view on selling and sales, fast forward to today?
Well, I started out selling cars on May the 10th, 1982. And I worked at a little place called PS Honda. It was owned by Paul Singer. And I've been with that organization in one shape or fashion ever since. So I learned through the school of hard knocks. I learned by selling cars, one car at a time, belly button to belly button. And, it was a very different industry in many ways in 1982 than it is today. And, if you think back, people with pinky rings and if you wear a pinky ring, no offense, and bad suits and white shoes, and you think of your atypical car salesperson back then. And I remember when I started out, I had a very good tutor, or several, but her name was Nancy Phillips. She was a general manager. She was elegant and eloquent and strict and firm, and she taught me how to treat people and to break into the automobile business. And I saw other people that were on the showroom floor that had houses and families, and I was living in my parents' basement apartment. I said, "Well, that guy can support a family and a car and a house, man." And I'm living in the basement. I'm gonna be able to put away a lot of money and earn a lot of money. And through the practice of observation, imitation, and repetition, I learned the automobile business.
And you learn, indeed, you're one of the bigger auto players on the dealership side. At what point did you kind of flip the switch from salesperson to, business person, business leader, entrepreneur? And what was that journey like? Because there are a lot of salespeople who are, lifers like myself, but never quite move into that next level.
Well, the woman I spoke of, Nancy Phillips, left the dealership somewhere in 1985 to pursue her own dealership, or 86. And I had the unmitigated gall to think that I could take her position when she left. I was 26 years old. I'd been selling cars for about 3.5 years, and I applied for the job. And my partner asked me a lot of interesting questions. He asked me what specific management courses I had taken in college. I hadn't gone to college, so I answered zero. What management training seminars have you attended? The answer was zero. How many books on management have you read? Management books, zero. Sales books, a lot, but zero. And I was feeling the interview wasn't going my way. But then I was able to turn the table a little bit while Nancy was working at the dealership and looking for her dealership, many nights I was the manager on duty, and I learned I learned some of the aspects of doing that particular job. So, in many ways, that was my training wheels. And my partner, my boss at the time, Paul Singer, said, "I'm going to give you 30 days, and let's see what you can do. You're on 30-day trial." And man, oh man, I can tell you this: there was not 1 hour that store was open in that 30-day period that I did not work. I worked 6 days a week. We're only open 6 days a week. I worked bell to bell, 9 to 9, every hour that we were open, and we had a fantastic first month. In fact, it was one of the more profitable first months that they'd had in years. And Mr. Singer, as I call him, Paul, sat me down at the end and said, "You've got another 30 days." And oh my God, thank God. And little did I know, we had really done great. And they were laughing that the little chance that they took on me worked out. And I knew something about sales. And I told him, with him as my leader, there was no way I was going to fail. So I sort of put him in the car there and put some of that responsibility on him as well. And I like to think all these years later, some 39 years later, that I still consider myself on trial every 30 days. I have to earn my position in the company every 30 days. I'm now a partner of both Paragon, Honda, and Acura. Our stores are, if not the largest Honda and Acura dealerships by volume and or profitability in the nation. And you still look at it like, I think it's very healthy to look at it. There's always somebody trying to take your place, and not unlike Jerry Rice, the great football player for San Francisco. He was trying out every single year, although he was the best that ever played the game, as if he had to make the team. And I think that mindset's a very positive mindset.
I love it. Well, there are a lot of people in the position of selling now who've never had sales training and frankly don't have sales experience. Yeah. And I think it's a challenge for them. A lot of young people in particular kind of thrown into this world of e-commerce and sales. What top 1, 2, 3 pieces of advice would you give the aspiring salespeople or maybe younger salespeople to really hone their craft, put in those 10,000 hours?
Well, selling is a real easy profession. It's easy, but not one that's profitable easily. You've got to work at it. So it's easy to make a mediocre living in sales. If you find a place, you sell a decent product, they'll give you some sort of training on the product. There's a natural flow of traffic wherever it is that you'll be considering doing business, and you'll have some success. The gold in selling is when you really start to work, when you start to understand that the internet is a freaking miracle. And if you can leverage this internet, you can reach customers wherever they are, any hour of the day. And so if you're asking for recommendations or advice, I give the advice to young and old alike, the same advice I follow, is you've got to get more day out of the day. So that means getting up early. I'm out of bed by 4:15 every morning, like clockwork. Wow. And there's, my wife can attest to that. There's not a day when I don't start my day off with reading, a cup of coffee, reviewing the data, and then after that, we got the mindset, we're warmed up a little bit. Now let's get the physical training in. You gave me the moniker of an athlete. I think that's somewhat true. I'm in the gym 7 days a week, whether it be running or pushing weight. No off days, no days off, to keep that myself physically fit for those young guys and gals that are coming up. I want to make sure that they understand I'm a veteran. I've been there, and I'm able to keep up with them, and then really becoming going deep into your profession of selling, learning selling. When you ask people, if I asked how many books have you read to the average salesperson, how many books on selling have you read? At best, I'm going to get 1, maybe 2. And I have a library at home, and not for show, of books that are all about selling and management. And if I grab a book, and if I get something out of the book, if there was one tip I got out of the book, you stack one tip on top of one tip on top, and 60 books a year, 30 books a year over 30 years, and the competition can't keep up with you. But the sad thing is, if your answer to how many books have you read on selling, if your answer is 1, well, you're going to get your socks cleaned, but by those that are willing to put in the time, willing to put in the effort. And I think selling doesn't have the reputation that it should. It is the highest paying profession on planet Earth. Warren Buffett, when he graduated college, took Dale Carnegie's course on how to influence people, win friends and influence people, and of course on selling. And he credits that for making him a global icon instead of just the best broker in Omaha, Nebraska. And so, it's you'll get out of this what you put into it. But somebody going to the gym 3 days and then looking for their muscles is going to be disappointed. Somebody reading a
Hey,
paragraph.
you're talking to me here, so I
Uh,
need to take some
uh,
advice from you
well,
on that side of things.
it's just you got to go. You got to go deep into what you're doing. And here's a crazy thing: when you go deep on your subject and you become an expert, a subject matter expert, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it more, right? It's anything that you're good at, you like, and you're in no danger of becoming good at selling by not reading a book, by not practicing. It becomes damn hard out there. You're trying to figure out how to get a customer to give you their money, and they're trying to figure out how to hold on to it. And there are specific ways, methods, and techniques that make it easy for both the seller and the buyer. So I think it's incumbent upon those of us that are in a leadership position to let people know the facts. It's hard work, but there's never been a better time to be in sales in the history of the world than right now.
Yeah, it's all about the customer and that relationship and who owns it. Let's shift gears a little bit. Speaking of customers, what a crazy 18 months, 2 years it's been in your space, the automotive sector.
Sure.
Supply chain issues, semiconductor issues, car shortages. What the hell is going on, Brian?
Well, automobile dealers are among the most resilient businessmen and women in the world, and we struggled certainly with the outset of the pandemic. I would say for us that was in the middle of March of 2020. We went from having an all-time record March in the first half of the month to uh, being closed by the governor as well as the other auto dealers in the state and around the country. We had 2 or 3 months that were just absolutely awful. But I was in a group of business executives around the country that met twice a week on Zoom to figure out how do we get out of this. And we called it the Power Breakfast. And there was a Power Breakfast in New York City during the Great Recession of the 70s when New York City was bankrupt. And business leaders, clergy leaders, union leaders, finance leaders, entertainment leaders, government leaders all met at the Regency Hotel for what they called the Power Breakfast in the morning to try and work on the problems of New York City. And I was part of forming a group of, we called it the 10 group, that would meet. And it was automotive accountants, automotive lawyers, automotive dealers, automotive brokers, some of the very familiar names if you're in this space. And we had a global perspective on what was going on. And we noticed in early April that the automobile business in China was returning, and it was returning rapidly, and it was returning in an area of sedans, which were, of course, going out of favor here in the United States. Having that information, that insight, because remember, China got into the COVID pandemic ahead of us, and as a result, they were getting out of it a little bit ahead of it. So we were able to, in essence, read tomorrow's newspaper today, and I was able to insulate the dealership by purchasing extra sedans, extra vehicles at a time when many dealers were trying to unload them. So that certainly helped us and gave us on the outset what looked like it was going to be a horrible year. 2020 ended up being the best year in the company's history. Then we come into 2021, where you've got chip manufacturers, the automakers, chip supplies, and leases contracts ended. And many of the auto manufacturers had negotiated very favorable rate with the chip manufacturers. And when the factories closed down, they basically put off those purchases from the chip manufacturers. The chip manufacturers, like any other industry, were scrambling to find customers, and they did. Now, when the automobile manufacturers had to go back to renegotiating contracts, many of that capacity was taken up in other industries. And think of cell phones, think of the gaming industry, and all of those products were demanding chips. And as a result of that, and chip manufacturing shutdowns and supply chain interruptions, and there's a shortage of cars, and it's like nothing I've ever seen. And then to quantify it on our dealership level, last year at this time, I had about 1,500 cars on the ground. for my Honda store. This year at this time, I have about 38 cars on the
Oh
ground.
my.
Yeah, so it's quite a difference for us, and in many ways, there's still a lot of opportunities out there for consumers.
There is indeed, and it's a really exciting time in the automotive industry. The move to driver assisted, maybe self driving, the move to electric vehicles, and of
Yeah,
course, Honda is a legendary brand in this space.
yeah.
But where do you see the industry going over the next few years with new entrants? Maybe we'll see an Apple car. We'll obviously see more innovation from Tesla. So, being the anticipatory leader you are, what's your perspective over the next, let's say, 3, 5 years?
I think all businesses need to be agile, especially in the automobile space. And our position is that we don't sell or lease new and used cars; that we provide transportations for consumer whenever, wherever, and however they want to consume it. So if there's a move to diesel, clean diesel, we'll provide that transportation. If there's a move to electrification, we'll be the providers in that space. And we still think the clean combustible engine that we are most familiar with today, gas powered, still has a number of years left in its cycle. I think the cars today are cleaner, safer, and more reliable than any time in history. I am excited about the opportunities that electrification provides for both dealers, for the economy, and for the ecology, the environment. I think all of these areas can be a big win. The challenge will be, of course, if big government's going to try and force it on consumers. Let's let this demand happen as a result of wicked technology. I think Tesla and Elon Musk have done a great job making electric cars that people actually want to own, and as opposed to some of these electric cars that people buy because there's a big government incentive on the purchase of the vehicle. I want to see Honda's technology continue to develop, and Honda has electric cars all set. Honda was a leader in this. The market just wasn't there. As the market becomes more robust, the demand increases, Honda will have world-class and world-leading vehicles in that space as well.
Yeah, no, my fiance loves Honda, lifetime Honda customer. Beautiful cars. What about the Apple car? Is this a real opportunity for Apple, or you think it's a figment of their imagination and sort of vaporware? What's your take on timing or otherwise?
Well, in 2015, Tim Cook said the ultimate mobile device is an automobile. And I leaned forward and raised an eyebrow. I don't like when people of his stature say things like that. And it's been one of the worst kept secrets in the automobile space that Apple is working on an automobile. Tesla and Elon Musk, in so many magnificent ways, opened the door for that. They with the piercing of the franchise system through electrification, many other manufacturers are going to come into the space, and that's going to cause great competition for all the current manufacturers. It's going to cause a great shift in the expect of consumers. I think that's a great opportunity for those of us that, again, remain agile. If you stay in one spot, you're going to get crushed. When Tim Cook says that the ultimate mobile device is an automobile, you can bet that Apple is going to put some resources there. And if you think about it, Nokia was the largest brand in the world. And famously, there's a copy of a businessman on the cover of Forbes magazine on a Nokia phone. And it said, "Can anyone take the $1 billion giant Nokia?" Well, the answer is yes. In less than a year, Apple snuffed that lead out. And 2 years later, when's the last time you had a friend use a Nokia phone? The answer is never. And look at the formidable competition that they just annihilated. They annihilated the Microsoft's pad, the hand pad. They annihilated BlackBerry. And how did they do it? With a better product. The ergonomics on an iPhone is spectacular. And wow, it's got the weather and it's got my music in it. They just provided just such stupid value to us. Whatever these things are today, $1,000, $1,200, you can't be without one. They became an indispensable part of who we are. And so, I don't put anything past this corporation. Apple does it, and they do it in the right way. They do it in a way with products that people want to buy. They do it in a way that the products are constantly evolving and getting better. So I think it'll be very interesting to see the Apple car when it comes out.
And they take their time, so we'll see when that comes out, because
They've
we're
got
all
time.
waiting
They've got
with
time, and
anticipation.
they've got time, and they've got money. Lots
Time
of
and money are good things to have. Well, thanks so much for your time. Speaking of which, here, and good luck on the fall sales season. You know, the run up to the holidays are always a big time.
They
What are
are.
you looking forward to personally? Do you have any marathons or triathlons or whatever these things are you do?
Yeah, I have a New York City Marathon on
Nice.
November the 7th, so it's right
It's
around the
back.
corner,
Great.
and I'm kind of excited about that. We've been training for that, and depending on the outcome of that, we'll determine what the next race is. I'm hopefully going to try another stab at the Boston Marathon. I've qualified and run that a number of times, so looking forward to that.
Well, look me up if you're up in the Boston area. I won't hold your allegiance to whatever the Yankees, I guess, against you. But good to chat. I'll look forward to seeing your rooms on selling and sales and leadership on Clubhouse. And, thanks for your time.
Evan, thank you. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Catch you later.